And in fact, and you know this, I mean, everything that I'm saying, people know. And you're going to go back and you're going to talk about it. But what you're going to have to do is you're going to have to figure out what you're going to do about it. Washington, D.C. will not solve our problems. In fact, what we learned is the courts, the judiciary in this country will not solve our problems. People in this country have to take responsibility, and you have to get involved. I don't know how many times I've got to say this. And God help us for these children, for this beautiful child. This beautiful child, if there's one time that I will get beyond determined and get emotional, it's about the children and the way that our children are being treated. This is not right. This is not right. So take control. If you're griping about all this stuff, what are you doing about it? What are you doing about it? And you have to do something about it. It's like one gentleman that I spoke to about a month ago. He's got 2 young children. He's done very, very well as a businessman. And he's in his community. He's been seen as a community leader. He's philanthropic. He gives money to different organizations. And he was sitting one day, and he told me, he goes, I was sitting one day on my couch about a year ago by himself in his house, and he said, he's watching what's going on. This is before the election. And he's watching what's going on. And he said, you know what? I can't do this anymore. I have to get involved in my community. And so he stepped into in this case, a Republican chair role in a very, very large county in this country. And they have about 250,000 people. And guess what the Republican Party doesn't do? The Republican Party doesn't even care about going down to that county and going into that county. You watch. The John Bennett, who just stood up here, who's going to be the Republican Party chair for the great state of Oklahoma, you're going to see that man engaged, just like you saw him up on the stage. Thank God he's going to be engaged. And as a veteran, and as a Marine, as a retired Marine, there are 23 million veterans in this country. 23 million veterans. And I will tell you that the majority of those veterans are Christian, they're conservative, they love this country, they know what sacrifice is about, they know what discipline is about, and they know how to serve. They know how to serve. So for all the veterans out here, encourage others around you. Teach people how to serve. Teach people what it means to serve others. This is that important of a time in the history of our country. This is an unprecedented time. This is a time we have never been in. We can make all these analogies about different eras about our nation, whether it's 1776 or the Civil War or World War I or World War II, or all of the difficulties, all of the challenges that our nation has been through. And I will tell you that they were all challenging, and they all caused us to reflect on who we are as a nation. Who we are as a nation are a group of people, a body of people who are willingly sacrificing our lives for others around the world. Not to like impose something, but to help them, to help their lives, and to make them better. That's what we are about. The beauty of a soldier in combat is to be able to be engaged with the enemy in a direct firefight on one hand in 1 second, and then in a brief moment reach down because a child's in harm's way, grab the child, pull this child into his chest, and turn on fire that's coming at him and take a bullet for that child. That's the American spirit. That's what every one of us has. If I am preaching, I'm preaching about America. I'm preaching about our country, about who we are, about every single aspect of why we are here today. There are those, I mean, is anybody 6 feet apart? Right? I mean, the number of people that we know, I mean, all these doctors, I mean, this is a health and freedom festival. It is about an education. And it's not just for the thousands of people that are in here. This is really for the millions and millions that I know are going to get this message across not only the United States of America, but the world. And the message is, we are not done fighting. We are not done fighting. That's right. So I'm gonna finish up here because this has been a long day. You've heard a lot of things, and so I hopefully, there's a difference between hearing and listening, right? You hear noise, you listen to words, and so hopefully you haven't heard a lot of noise here today, because we can transmit a lot of noise in today's environment, an awful lot of noise, a lot of distraction. A god-awful lot of distraction. But what we need to do is we need to listen. And I learned one thing from a great gentleman who's here today, Lynn Wood. Lynn Wood taught me one day, he's a great American, great American. I mean, I love him. I love Lynn Wood. And all the things that you learn in the military, all the things you learn about leadership, there's things in life that you can control. I can control what I'm saying. I can control the fact that I'm standing up here. And then there's things in life that you cannot control. And then there's a way to think about that, and it's how you take control. Maximize your potential. I always used to tell young soldiers, what's your potential? What do you think your potential is? Can you achieve that? Can you overcome that? Can you do that? And they go, I don't know, I've never been able to do that. I said, give it a shot. Give it a try. Go do it. Work a little harder. Make sure you get out there and you do a little bit more. That's what I'm asking you to do. My mother taught me to be a lifelong learner. Never, ever stop learning. So the message for you all today is, as you listen, and you walk away from today, you're learning something. And one of the things that Lynn taught me was about fear, a little bit about fear, and I always thought that I knew what it was about. All the time of coming and going in and out of combat operations or combat zones, you have a sense of fear. You're not human if you don't. And one of the things that I listened to him one day, and he talked about the brain and the heart. And it's really a fascinating thing, because in the brain we see something in it and it causes us, because it mentally says, oh, I'm afraid of that. I'm afraid to go do something. I'm afraid they're going to do something to me. I'm afraid they're going to take the job. I'm afraid they're going to say something nasty about me. Tell me about it, right? So, and that all comes from your brain. That all comes from, because you're overthinking a problem. You're overthinking who you are, what you are as an individual. You're lessening yourself. You're lessening the potential that you have as an American. And what you know to be true, where does that come from? And I say it comes from, and what Lynn taught me is it comes from your heart. And I will tell you one thing, that's right, because when I say it comes from your heart, it's like, the instinct, the hair in the back of your neck that goes up, the gut check or the gut feel that you have, a woman's intuition. A woman's intuition. You just know something when you see something, this is right, this is wrong. I mean, the American psyche, we know what's right, we know what's wrong, and we're watching it and we're not going to accept it. We are not going to accept it. So what do we do about it? What do we do about it? We have to leave here. So listen to me one more time. Listen to me one more time, especially the women. The reason why I asked all the women to stand up is because the demographics in our country, the demographics, the who we are, the fabric of our nation has shifted in like 30 or 40 years. And women are much, much more involved in the lifeblood of our country. And they know it. The women in this room know it. The women listening to this know it. And so the reason why I single out women is because women are breadwinners, they're caretakers, they're business owners. They're involved in every aspect of who we are. And they're a segment of our society that, frankly, the political class has taken for granted. They've taken it for granted. And when I see some of these great women up here, educators, businesswomen, pastors, all these different people, they're involved. But there's a lot. I mean, when you think about it, I'll bet you we're probably 2/3, maybe 3/4 of the people in here today are women. And I'm going to tell you, I come from a very strong family. I have 4 sisters. My mother was a terrific person. And I know what strong women can do. And I'm telling you, ladies, if you don't look at your lifeblood, if you don't look at what it is that's happening in your communities, if you don't look at these beautiful children and the way these children, I mean, you're bringing these children into this world without a mask, right? So why should we have them sit in a classroom when we know there's nothing wrong with what's going to happen to them? So don't allow it. It's the moms that are going into these classrooms to argue. So I want you to think about that. Listen. Get involved in your communities. You don't have a choice. You don't have a choice. I have grandchildren, and the main reason why I'm here is because of my grandchildren. If I don't do what I'm doing, and I don't care because they tried to bury me, so they can try it again, and they're going to have to do it much better job this time. You know in this country, you have to get involved. So I'm making this is my thing. This is how I'm doing it. This is what I've decided to do. And it's a big, big risk. It's a big risk for me. I will tell you. And because they constantly come after you. But like my mom used to say, sticks and stones can break my bones, but names will never hurt me. So the names won't hurt me. Now when they start to do the sticks and stones, I'll be ready for that. I'll be ready for that. So, for all the great people that are here, all of you up top, from the bottom of my heart, from my family and I, thank you so much for all you did for our family. I mean, the American people ran toward my family. They gave us prayers. They gave us everything. And when one woman who told me, when I said incorrectly, people with nothing gave me everything. And a woman got a hold of me and said, don't you ever say that I have nothing, because I have my faith in God. And so I have my faith in God, and I have my faith in you. So God bless America. Thank you so much. Thank you very much.
One more time, ladies and gentlemen, let's hear it for General Michael Flynn! Come on now. How many of you want to see this guy be a vice president someday? Come on. For any of the Trump family that may be watching, how many of you would love General Flynn to be a VP as opposed to a Pence? How many of you know he would not have certified that fraudulent vote? Yeah, that's General Flynn right there. One more time, ladies and gentlemen. General Michael Flynn.